Sure. She's called Just Pearly Thing. She's pretty cool. She talks about like a bunch of IRL topics and all kinds of stuff. Has like her own podcast, does interviews, you name it, the whole fucking shtick, you know. So there was another thing that went down. It was between Andrew Tate and what's his name? How do I forget his name? Let me see if he's on here. Pierce. That's who it is. Is Pierce interviewing Andrew Tate? It's an exclusive, whatever, and so they kind of have like a little showdown and whatnot. Now, to remind you guys, like, I know a certain amount of information when it comes to Mr. Tate. I already know what's everything that's currently going on with him as of now. And, you know, so I have my brief information about him. I don't know the full story. I don't know all the semantics. I don't know all the, you know, like, ABC or whatever. So I'm not going to speak on that stuff, whatever. Instead, I'm just going to judge what's being presented in front of me. I was recommended this to react to this from another person that is pretty interesting, and what's it called, and Tate doing his thing or whatever, you name it. But and then she also gives her her 2 cents. I believe from what I've heard that she is in favor for the things that Tate advocates, you know, or certain things that he does that are obviously should either be accepted or okay. I'm assuming it should be accepted or okay. But you know, that's what it is. This is at 9 minutes. So I'm going to start it over.
So that's
bro, I'm gonna be real, bro. I'm not trying to be mean to Pearly things or whatever, but she looks like she's stoned as fuck. Like, is it me or what?
Tate to come here tonight, and he joins me now live. So Andrew, well, welcome first of all. You come all the way from Romania to do this interview.
Correct.
What do you hope to achieve from this interview? Why are you here?
It'd be interesting to have a conversation with you. You've certainly been the subject of your own divided opinions in the world. There's a lot of people who would say some of the things you say are perhaps dangerous or toxic. So I thought you'd be a good person to speak to about this subject.
I didn't know much about you before this year, and then I suddenly became very aware.
That's the first thing I'm going to just throw a jab at real quick. So I'm pretty sure we can all agree that anybody that has any podcast interviews or what Pierce does, their own shows, you name it, et cetera, right? That you could probably be able to clip, probably be able to capture so many people or so many things at certain particular moments or whatever, misconstrued, ignore all the context, et cetera, and try to paint whatever bullshit picture and enforce cancel culture tactics. You know what I mean? Let's be real. That happens 24/7. You know what I mean? And that's why the internet is just fucking chaos. And there's so much confusion. There's so much, you know, just nonsense. And people don't take the time to actually really analyze and look at everything overall. The entire, you know, transparency aspect of it. You know, like, it's just, there's so much ignorance. You know what I mean? There's so much. And that happens to basically anybody. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to that, so it's like, you know, you have all the sensitive Sallys or Care Bears, whatever, you know, or people that are just absolutely a joke or disgraceful to human decency, basically. And they'll just come out, you know, try to paint a bullshit picture, you know, and be like, oh, he's being toxic or this or that or whatever because their feelings are hurt or they're not wanting to accept reality, whatever bullshit it is, okay? You know, or at the end of the day, if something is really controversial, contentious, whatever, you know how it goes. Everybody just loses their fucking minds and can't just, you know, be a human being and grow the fuck up and move forward, you know? So that's absolutely, like, just inherently so correct, though. I'm just going to immediately give that point to Tate right off the whip. That's so true. Like, bro, you could probably clip me or make so many shorts or whatever, who knows what, okay, and probably be able to paint a picture that is blatantly not even there. You know what I mean? That could be instantaneously disproven wrong and debunked or contradicted in a fucking less than a second. I mean, just by watching 2 minutes beforehand of whatever I could be maybe saying or something. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just putting that out there, guys. Like, at the end of the day, you know, it's just, come on, we gotta be real. You know what I mean? We gotta keep it a buck. So.
As the world did, because as I said earlier.
Oh, and another thing, I'm gonna hear her out a couple times because I've never really like reacted to her before. So, you know, I'm gonna hear her out for like the first video in a good bit, and obviously if she's spitting whatever, cool, whatever. If she's not, I'll give my reaction or I'll say whatever. But I'm not gonna hear every single fucking time she also gives her thoughts or her reaction value, basically. Because that's just gonna make this video way too much longer. I mainly want to focus on the interview with Tate and Pierce, and just kind of go that route. But I am intrigued to see her thoughts and what she thinks overall too.
You were the #1 subject searched on Google ahead of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was even possible. Yeah. Why did you get suddenly so popular / infamous, do you think?
I exploded. I certainly didn't do that with magic. I've been on the internet for a very long time. I think in the world we live in now, as the other side, the people who disagree with me, as they get more and more tyrannical in their censorships and their hate mobs, etc., as standard masculine practices are deemed toxic, I didn't put a magic spell on everybody. I managed to accumulate a large amount of affinity with the male populace across the Western world because I'm simply saying things that many men believe, think, and feel.
The problem I would say is I want to play you just a clip off the top. This is from Joe Rogan. He's somebody I absolutely love.
Sure.
And I think it explains to me what
Fun fact, I know who Joe Rogan is, but you guys, as crazy as this may sound, like, comment down below of anything I should check out that's pretty interesting or funny or whatever. Just anything. Just let me know. But, like, I've never seen Joe Rogan. I've never seen a podcast from him. I've never seen anything. Nothing. So, I mean, I'm really limited on time, guys. Like, you guys got to remember that. Like, there's only so much I can keep up with and do. You name it. There's just so much, bro, in the world. So...
my issue with you is going to be, right?
Correct.
And you have absolutely got the right to try and persuade me otherwise.
Sure.
But Joe Rogan said this about you.
Joe Rogan.
My 12-year-old and my 14-year-old asked me about Andrew Tate.
And
my
what'd you
14-year-old
say?
asked me, I said he's a legit world champion kickboxer. I go, I like him a lot. Why do you like him? And I was asking him. And they said he says a lot of funny stuff on Twitter and TikTok. He f***ed up with the misogynist stuff.
Yes.
Because if he didn't do that, if he just did the pro-male stuff.
Wait, did Joe Rogan say he was a misogynist? Wait, blessing. Were you listening? Did Joe
I think he did say that.
Rogan say he was misogynist? No. He implied it, but not. Is Joe Rogan soft? Not Joe Rogan! No! I'm gonna keep listening. But I'm still salty. Andrew, if you see this, I'm still salty with you for not coming on my show in London.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
So, a quick thing. Apparently what I heard about is she actually interviews Andrew Tate and has, like, other females as well on there, and that's a whole interesting thing. You guys probably saw that on my watch later before I do whatever. But we'll eventually be checking that out just for shits and giggles. And then another thing we'll be watching in the long haul, there's another dude that I already forgot his fucking name. God damn it. But he's a pretty good guy. He has, like, reactions on tons of goated crazy shit, whether if it's controversial, funny, or crazy or whatever. So, like, all his stuff, like, eventually I'm gonna react to probably one or two of his videos, and then, like, whatever thing he has, I'll just, like, simply react to that, because the problem is he doesn't put the fucking link to the original videos that he's reacting to. So, like, I have no idea, like, what he could even be reacting to. So I'll probably have to search it up, and if I can't find it, then I'm just going to react to what he's reacting to. You know what I mean? So, just to really keep things simplified and straightforward, unless somebody can tell me what to search in the comments or whatever, you name it, etc. But it is what it is. But we're going to keep going, and let's see what happens.
Because when I've gone over everything that's been at the centre of the debate about Andrew Tate, I come down with Joe Rogan in the sense that there's a lot of stuff you say I agree with. You know, I've got 3 sons in their 20s. It's not easy, actually, being a young male in the modern world. And I think a lot of the things that you say...
Okay, and then I looked up the definition of a misogynist, a person who dislikes, despises, or is strongly prejudiced against women. So basically discriminating against women. Okay, so for anybody that's going to make a claim and call somebody a misogynist, that's a big claim. You know what I mean? Analyze the definition of it and analyze whatever evidence that you are either analyzing or viewing or whatever they're saying and try to understand what's happening, because for you to just blatantly come out with, oh, somebody's a misogynist, that's a little crazy. It's kind of similar to the whole word of, like, racist or homophobic, you know what I mean, and things, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you can't just make a claim and it's just clearly not backed up, and it's just based on what you're interpreting or because your feelings are hurt or whatever, I don't know, or it's a different view or take, and then therefore now you think somebody's either being homo or misogynist or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, open up your fucking ears, open your brains up. Like, don't be a one-minded, simple-minded person. You know what I mean? Like, really fucking pay attention, basically. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? That's really fucked up to do, and try to belittle people or make claims on people when it can be just inherently not the case at all. And it happens all the time. It happens to everybody. Athletes, celebrities, content creators, you name it, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. So, but I literally just looked it up. So, just putting that out there too, you know. So, anyways.
About that can resonate with them. The problem comes with the, I don't know, 10, 20% or whatever of your output, which on the face of it appears to be blatant misogyny. And when you couple that with your massive influence...
Blatant misogyny. I'm so tired of men telling me what's misogynistic. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of women that will also say the same thing. But I'm used to women spouting nonsense. It's like, all right, let's see. What did he say that was so misogynistic? Whenever I hear the word misogyny in my head, I'm like, these people are soft. Because usually, whenever like it's so-called misogyny, it's like not misogyny. It's just people being soft, anyways.
Huge reach.
What I'll say on that too is like, I'm gonna give 2 examples. Okay, so let's say like I say, oh, all women fucking suck, or women just suck, period, and I hate them, and they're just evil, whatever. That's misogyny. That's misogyny, basically, right? And then you have example B. Oh, I don't agree with the fact that how women can be able to manipulate marriages and exploit the pros within the marriage system between a man and a woman, and how most women 9 out of 10 times that is the reason why percentage and by literally like statistics of why they even enforce divorces and et cetera, because they're able to make profit and exploit those tendencies and move on, et cetera. That I just don't agree with, and I think it's really fucked up, et cetera. So if somebody's speaking on that and giving their personal take and, you know, giving some objective arguments, subjective, et cetera, okay, or even concrete shit, all right, are you really going to sit here and be like, they're a misogynist? You see what I'm saying? You know, so that's the problem nowadays. It's just everybody is so fucking sensitive. Everybody is so stubborn or ignorant and just not willing to be open-minded and be open-minded to understand multiple perspectives and to understand that not everything is a one-way fucking road, you know. That's where we start having problems, basically, you know, and then it just becomes chaos, you know. And that's really the issue. So basically what I'm assuming what she means by when saying people are just being soft or whatever is she's technically correct in a sense, because it's like if people are listening to somebody and they're clearly spitting facts or whatever, or talking about either the cons or negatives, whether if it's about a man or a woman too, okay, then they're immediately just going to, oh, like they're just being misogynist or whatever the word is for if a woman's doing it to a man, you know, pure hate to a man or something. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It really is interesting, because in that way and value, it is them being soft. They're clearly misinterpreting what they're saying. They're not comprehending what they're saying, and they're immediately feeling attacked or victimizing themselves, or whatever the case may be. And then from there, they just kind of go on and just, you know, paint a fucking bullshit picture, you know? So
that is why the social media companies have decided to effectively cancel you. I don't believe in cancellation. I don't believe in censorship particularly. That's why I've invited you to come on the show. But I do think a lot of the things you've said are blatant misogyny. Do you accept that?
So you made a very interesting point there. You just said on the face of it appear to be blatantly misogynistic. I understand that on the face of some of the long format content I've made, if you're going to take a few seconds out of hours, chop it up, put it all over social media, accompanied with my massive fame, then things can absolutely not be taken out of context. I do not hate women in any regard. I have no negative relationship with women. No women have come forward saying I've hurt them. I have no criminal record for hurting women. There's no way I can be seen as the face or the devil in regards to how men treat women on the planet. I'm absolutely and utterly the opposite. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. There's been large contingents of people who have tried very hard to purport lies about me. And the truth of the matter is, I've been producing content for a very long time. Hours and hours of videos been cut down to 2 or 3 seconds of clip. Those clips have gone viral and people misunderstand me.
But I think you used this phrase of be taken out of context, and I'm not sure that is correct, in the sense that it still comes out of your mouth.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about this taken out of context. Now, I'm a woman, so of course I'm going to make this about me. Of course.
Completely.
Oh, shoot. This has happened to me before, okay? Where I say something, and these, like, for example, recently, I was taken out of context because I said that, I can't even remember what I said, but it was something along the lines of, if you're obese, you don't deserve a man that makes 6 figures. Now, I didn't think this was crazy because they didn't talk about how I said nobody deserves a man that makes 6 figures. I don't think an IG model deserves it. But, like, the problem is we have big women saying they're entitled to love. Anyways, that's a whole other tangent. But I understand what he's saying. While things may come out of your mouth, if they clip it up to 15, 20 seconds, which some shorts are, you might think it means something else. But I stand by what I said. If you're over 300 pounds, if you're obese, you don't deserve a man that makes 6 figures. If you get one, you're lucky. I think if anyone, lucky.
You said, I just think are blatantly.
Well, let's do them. Let's hear them.
Let's go through some.
Sure.
Right. So you said this about Me Too stroke rape. This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania. In Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. You go to the police and say he raped.
You get to see his face. He's just mad.
1988. They'll say, well, you should have done something about it back then.
Yeah, so the point I was making was obviously at the height of the Me Too scandal, and also if we look at Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, there's been a lot of high-profile cases where men have been accused of things they did not do without evidence, and their lives have been completely and utterly destroyed.
Right.
When I say these things, people sit and say that, oh, he hates women. I don't hate women. I think rape is disgusting. I would take a stronger stance on rape than the British government. I think these people should face the death penalty. But to sit and say that women without evidence can go forward and just make up accusations against men, even though they've been repeatedly proven to destroy men's lives at will, is absolutely and utterly
What about a
asinine.
woman who was raped back in 1988 and goes to the police?
Then the man should face absolute and complete justice.
But do you understand that when that clip appears on TikTok as a clip, and all right,
as a clip, completely.
Okay, but it's still something that came out of your mouth. Do you accept that when that appears on TikTok, a lot of young, maybe not as smart as you, young men, right, impressionable teenagers, will read that and go, "What's he saying here? Is he saying that rape doesn't exist?"
No.
See, I don't like when we treat people like they're stupid. Now, I think anyone that is grown, and even when I was a teenager, if I saw something, I understand that there's context. Like, just because they're 15, 16, it doesn't mean they're like low IQ. I don't know. I think that most people, unless you're like disabled, have a basic level of like.
Yeah, and then I look at the definition of like context, because it's obviously that's always thrown out there, right? As a instant defense value, which makes sense. The circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. Okay. So by that definition, obviously, you know what I mean, before you make a claim someone's a misogynist or homo or this and this and this and this and this or whatever it is, right? You need to analyze the context first, okay? And then you can be able to come to that notion of whether they actually are still, or clearly if the context is there and they're over here like quoting somebody, or they're over here explaining like the different subjective values or perspectives of things, you know what I mean? And they're not even really speaking for themselves. Like, I can go on and on and on. Context is an extremely important factor, you know what I mean? So, like, that's just how it goes. I mean, you can't dismiss that. That's just being completely dishonest and being ridiculous, you know? So, it is what it is.
Common sense deep down in there, even though society is trying to brainwash it out of us. So I don't like it's your job to hold people's hand and tell them that there's nuance in everything you say. Like, I think that's just a general truth.
Rape is disgusting. Of course, everybody should be punished for their crimes.
Also, don't think this is misogynistic so far.
When they happen, but people are not perfect, male and female, and if you give women the opportunity to destroy men's lives without evidence, there's going to be a contingent of women who will do that. I'm trying to make a balanced and nuanced argument in a world where people have no attention span. They're going to take a few seconds, put it online, decide someone's good or bad, not be interested in the longer format video, and here I am. No, I'm certainly a person who takes personal responsibility. That's who I am as a person. But we live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Do you think women are the property of men?
No. The point I was making.
Why have you said they are?
Because I made a religious point. I said that when a man marries a woman, the woman's father walks her down the aisle, and hands her away to the man. Traditionally, this is what it says in the Bible. I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I live in the most religious country in the world.
So you do think that the woman becomes the men?
I think she takes.
BetterHelp gives you access to over 20,000 licensed therapists, meaning that you can get online therapy.
Yeah.
Takes his last name.
I mean, let's watch the clip that you said about this,
Sure.
so that we can get it in context.
So I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. True or false?
Absolutely.
But I've been married twice, as it turns out, and on both occasions.
They leave. Who divorced you? He just gives me vibes like that. Respectfully, sorry, Pierce. I sense a little, as a woman, we can smell the simp on you. And I smell it. And I heard he simped for Meghan Markle. It's like, red flag, I know I'm in London. I think the people like her here. I don't really know, but she screams red flag to me, just, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna continue.
I didn't believe that the woman was being handed to me as chattel, as property.
Perhaps the way the reason I'm asked that question repeatedly, and I'm asked in a loaded way.
So would you rephrase what you said there?
Now, that's an interesting point about phrasing. The way I would say things before I was famous, I have to take personal responsibility and accept that if I make a video that 500 people see and 1% of them misunderstand it, that's not a problem. If I make a video that 5 million people see and 1% of them understand.
So specifically on that point, I think my sister is her husband's property.
She took his last name. She married him. She wanted to join his family. She has said it herself.
Right. So she's
still a sovereign individual. She's absolutely not a sovereign individual.
Property means that the husband owns your sister.
Listen, my friend, if we want to argue about this, you need to go back to the Bible, to the Quran. You need to argue with religious.
No, I'm not talking about anything in the Bible or Quran.
But that's what it says.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I think that if a woman marries a man and she decides to take his last name, that they have different roles and responsibilities within that marriage, and I believe that.
That's not the question.
I agree. Yeah, when I get married, I want to be property. That sounds fun. I'm with it. I don't understand why people are so bent out of shape. It's like, you know what he's saying. You know that he's not saying, like, they own you forever and you can't leave and you have to do exactly what they say.
It's not some slave value. Like, that's not what he's stating. That's not what any other religious person would even say either. Like, we're not saying, like, oh, like, therefore you're enslaved, you're my property, like, you're my, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. You don't have no freedom on that. Like, that's not what's being said. It's in a figurative meaning and sense of basically implying that we and you, we just belong to each other, basically. Like, you know, I'm your property, you're my, and I'm your property, you're my property. Okay, we're, you know, ride or die, basically, type vibes. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he's fucking saying. You know what I mean? Like, you have each other's names. You made your vows, you name it, like, it's that simple. You know what I mean? Like, therefore, just you two against the world at that point, right? That's all they're fucking saying. You know what I mean? Like, but there's idiots and people to take it hyper literally and be like, oh, now he's saying people are slaves or humans are property. You know what I mean? Like, like, it's just, bro. You know what I mean? Like, once again, it's just simple-minded people that want to take things out of context, want to take things hyper literally, over-exaggerate shit, become sensitive Sallies, be offended, you name it, whatever, and it's just blatant bullshit. It's just blatantly bullshit. So I'm gonna skip forward.
But it's like,
she's gonna say the same thing basically.
Like, I'm property. Yes.
It doesn't mean talker, right?
That leads. Then in a way, you kind of are his property. Yeah. I'll say that on my wedding day. I'll be like, I'm property. Yes.
And I believe the father.
The father hands her. Don't behave like a politician.
The father hands her to the man.
Right, but don't be a politician, because I think you're a straight talker, right? You keep telling me you're a straight talker.
Shit, like, for instance, like here's another example, too, figuratively. Let's say you're having sex with, like, somebody, right? You know? and whether the guy says it to the girl or whoever, I don't care what it is, okay? And they're just doing that thing, whatever, some freaky shit, and then one of them's like, oh, you're my property. Treat me like I'm your property, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and some people, like, get turned on from that. Some people are like, that's a no-go, whatever, you know? It's kind of similar to that figurative sense as well. Like, it's just, that's all it is. It's like, it's not like literally, it's not like, oh, you know, some crazy, evil, indictive type of scenario. Like, that's just not it, you know? Like, so what, if you say that while you're being weird and having sex with somebody, does that mean you're being literal? And like, oh, like, they're fucking, you know, like, it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid.
Sister is her husband's property. Do you regret saying it like that?
I understand that with my newfound fame, perhaps it could be phrased differently. However, I still believe that a woman is given to the man in marriage. That's what I believe.
Yeah, but not as property.
No, the property is the word that other people use when they ask me the question.
But as an equal partner in a loving union. That's what marriage actually means. It doesn't mean that when you get married, the woman is given...
I don't like the term equal partner. Like, Pierce, I knew I smelled a little simp in you. Blessing, do you want an equal partner? No? You don't want an equal partner? Is your girl gonna be your property? He's like, you can't go that far. Yeah, I could have told you. I'm like, this is why you got ghosted by Meghan Markle. Pierce. I said it.
To you as a bit of chattel.
Agreed.
And like, you know what it's like to he got ghosted by a crazy lady. I don't care what any of y'all say. Any woman that has her man so far in the palm of her hand, I can convince him to.
They asked. Oh, hang on.
Or don't. I don't know. Do you guys like her here? I thought you did. It's like 50-50. Yeah.
I don't know who she's talking about.
But that's the way that people ask me the question. People say to me, they ask the question.
Hang on. You can't blame people for asking you questions. Surely, if you want to be accountable for what you've said, You've got to own your responses, not blame the question.
I own the response.
Like me asking you a question now, and you say something, and then say, well, actually, I blame you for asking.
I understand, Piers. Piers, I understand. I believe the woman is given to the man. I believe she's given away by the father. I believe she belongs to the man.
So you
if she belongs to the man.
All right. So fundamentally, you do believe that a woman becomes a man's property at marriage.
I believe she belongs to the man in marriage, correct.
Right. Oh, you see, that to me is misogyny.
And you're entitled to your opinion.
Right. But do you not understand why people think it is misogyny?
I understand why some people can be very offended by what I say. What they do is...
Yeah, that's not misogyny. No, like, when you... Especially if you're speaking on religious value, and you over here basically say that, you know, the woman belongs to the man belongs to the woman. Yeah, that makes fucking sense. It's marriage. You belong to each other. You know what I mean? Like, you love each other. You know, you have your vows. You name it. Like, what? How the fuck is that a misogynist? You know? Like, by definition, a misogynist is someone that discriminates against women and basically hates women. Okay? Like, what the fuck? How is that misogyny, bro? Like, what? Like, that's so dumb.
Like that, and they ignore all the other points I make the other way around.
Yeah, but that's why I've repeatedly asked you about that line.
I would say the same shit. If I got married, I belong to the woman, she belongs to me. We're fucking married. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what? We don't belong to each other now? She can just go off and cheat and do whatever she wants. Same for me and the whole fucking, you know, like, what are we saying right now? You know, like, this is just crazy.
Any tall, handsome men, call me. I'll be your property. Sorry, I kid.
Bro, she's just cracking herself up at this point.
Okay. I said it before. I knew when I don't know much about Piers Morgan. I saw him get destroyed by Ben Shapiro a couple years ago. That was hilarious. And every time I see him, like, I've only seen him a couple times, and every time he's getting destroyed by someone. So, like, he just seems to go viral for the wrong reasons. Like, what else does he do other than get destroyed by people? Is he big here? Yeah. I swear to God, I've only seen him when he's getting owned by somebody. Oh, that's what he's, like, known for?
To see if you've changed your position, but the reality is you haven't.
It's not about changing positions. I'm a full-grown adult, and I stick by the things I say, and I'm responsible for them.
Which, by the way, is fine.
Absolutely.
But what you did say at the start of this little exchange, you said, you know, I wouldn't maybe say things the same way now that I did before I was famous. And yet, actually, you've doubled down and said exactly the same thing.
On certain points.
So that is what you believe. And that's my point.
Yes.
I'm trying to work out, look, I don't know you. We've
Correct.
just met, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out who Andrew...
And you're leaving a hell of a first impression, Pierce. Pierce. Like, you could... It's already grilling it. Okay.
TATE is and what you actually believe. I don't want to twist anything at all.
Then let me make it very, very clear to the camera. I believe a woman is given to the man in marriage. I believe that. I also believe a man has a duty to protect and provide for her. I believe a man should lay down his life if something happens or his wife's life is threatened. I believe that women and children first are on the lifeboats.
But men,
I believe that men...
But a man doesn't own a woman.
It's not, no. It's, okay.
Unless they literally buy them as a slave.
Well, obviously we're not talking about that. We're talking about religious, biblical marriage. We're talking about something else.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's I was right. I was correct on the money. Like, Pierce and all these other dummies are taking it hyper literally, like some slave shit or whatever. It's like, no, it's not what's being fucking implied. It's a figurative language of fucking speech, and he's literally giving you all the context, explaining what he means with his religious value of his, like, comprehension of it. And you're over here, like, going a whole other fucking direction saying, oh, you're calling a woman a slave or property or this or that. It's like, no, you dumb fucking... That would be a misogynist, you know what I mean? To actually enslave a woman or to, like, literally treat her like a fucking property and shit like that, you name it. You know what I mean? Like, people are just so dumb. Like, they just don't understand the fucking language of English, I guess, maybe. I don't know, bro.
But
I really don't.
I'm a Christian. I don't believe that I own my wife.
Do you believe your wife was given away to you when she took...
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of simps in the Christian church. Like, I mean, it wasn't always like this, I don't think. And this is coming, like, you know, he just gives me the vibes of someone. This is just, like, the vibes. I don't know you, Pierce. I'm sorry.
So we
people
agree.
in a
I don't know you, Pierce. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
there is a process where a father traditionally walks his daughter down the aisle and hands his daughter to this man, and they stand there and become a union of two loving
So we
people
agree.
in a partnership. No, there's no ownership involved.
I didn't say
He's not selling her. The father of the bride isn't selling his daughter.
That's not what he's
absolutely.
saying. Oh my god, it's like he can't comprehend what the fuck he's saying.
That's what property
She
means. It's
she
not-
becomes a
it's not
member
like
of your
house,
family.
is it?
I think we're arguing over semantics.
We're not, though, because fundamentally, I don't believe a man owns a woman. You do.
Well, I don't think a man owns any sovereign individual. I don't think we live in the world of slavery. I don't own any men or any woman.
Right.
Nobody owns
But when you
anybody.
use phrases like property, that's what you imply.
No, that's not what he's implying. That's what you think he is implying. When he's literally explained it several times, and all the context supports what he has explained, etc., etc. Basically, what it means, he's not using it in the literal sense. He's using it in a figurative sense of like, you belong to each other, basically. You love each other. You owe each other. You're supposed to be there for each other. Through sickness and death. Through the good and the bad. Like this he's, I'm sorry. Pierce is a very simple-minded fucking creature, bro. Like, I don't know really anything about Pierce either. I don't watch his shit. I don't keep up with it, nothing. I barely keep up with anything as it goes. But, like, I'm sorry. From my first impression of Pierce, this man's a dumbass. It's just blatantly, like, just trash. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys, too, with my audience. If I saw anything Mr. Tate was saying or doing that was purely fucking dumb or did whatever, I'd be immediately dogging him, too. You know, like, this is just dumb. Like, this motherfucker is just making up shit.
And so my point again is, you're a smart guy.
It's like, okay. It's like if you pick where you work. So it's like you get to pick your property owner. It's like, yeah, and you can leave and take half. You actually get paid to leave and take half. So I wouldn't.
Monzo.com makes Gans great again. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say again because they never were.
I wouldn't really.
They have the right to own stuff.
I wouldn't really paint with like that is misogynistic. It's just more like, hey, you pick your boss, and if you leave, you get a severance package. Yep, Pierce.
There's no denying that. You're smart. You're a good talker. I've seen a lot of the stuff. But when what I don't think you quite fully understand.
No, I understand
is that
very well,
when
Pierce.
young, impressionable people
I understand
who
that
are
very
not
well.
as smart see things like, I think my sister is her husband's property, yes, and you've just reaffirmed that
Yeah.
that belief. They think that they have the right to own women.
Okay, and that's a good point to bring up, but the problem with that is that can be like applied for anything. For anything, basically, in life, okay? Like, for any other podcast, interviewers, content creators, you name it, like, bro, they're a fucking kid. So, yeah, if they're not intelligent enough to, if their comprehension skills are obviously not there or whatever, and they go into a whole negative route with what they just heard or saw or whatever, that's for fucking anything. Well, why do you think kids are the way they are? You know, they mainly learn and obtain the attributes and certain behaviors and tendencies from who is raising them. You know what I mean? And et cetera, for whoever they're watching or hearing. But all because their comprehension skills are poor doesn't mean that makes him a bad person or he's now responsible for those negative atrocities or for their misinterpretations or misunderstanding of what he's fucking saying. I mean, like, that's dumb. Like, you can't just point a finger and blame and be like, oh, because you were explaining or talking about something, like, that's really important or whatever, you know, yada, yada. Therefore, since a younger person that's not as smart as you or whatever the case may be, or us, you know, now takes it a certain way and is doing some bad shit or whatever, that has nothing to do with him. You know what I mean? Like, with that fucking logic, everybody's basically guilty at that point. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's so stupid. You know? Like, now, what I will say, what Tate or any other fucking person can do is when you are wording the things you're saying or explaining the things, like, try to have an understanding and be expected to know that, you know, you could be having young audiences viewing your stuff, etc., etc. So try to really, really articulate and explain and dive and go through it fully, you know. But at the same time, we don't really owe that either, technically, as a content creator or interviewer or whatever you are. Okay, that's not we're not obligated to really go that far to that extreme either. Like, you're basically asking us to, like, break our back just so people that are not as smart or people that are younger or whatever you know what I mean, can maybe really have a better chance to like not take that in a negative value, basically. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like what? Like, that's fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, either way, like, it's, bro, an example is like video games. You know what I mean? Video games is a perfect example. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, or anybody that plays them, whatever. You're going to have all these companies or all these ding-dongs of like, oh, video games is the reason why we have shootings or this or that. Or like, at the end of the day, that type of value in our world and system, there's always going to be blame value. There's always going to be accountability, bullshit accountability values and shit when it comes to shit. And it's just blatant, like, just ignorance at that point. You know what I mean? Like, video games are not the reason for this or whatever, like, blah, blah, blah. No, it's bullshit. You guys are just looking for a reason to point the fingers or whatever, yada, yada. Even if video games weren't here, guess what? We still had problems. We still had murders. We still had fucking massacres and you name it. You know what I mean? Like, once again, people are going to blame or say or do whatever they want to do to justify what the potential source could be. You know what I mean? And once again, that's just not right. It's morally incorrect. It's morally, it's just ignorant. It's pure fucking ignorance. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's just dumb. I don't agree with that at all. So.
I understand that very well, Piers.
That's why people think you're a misogynist.
Completely. I understand all of this very well, which is why when you're saying I was backtracking, I'm not.
Do you have any regret, though, over the way you phrase this stuff?
Well, this is the point I was trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is, when I was not nearly as famous and I was making long format content, I was not sitting there anticipating I'd become the most Googled man on the planet and that a few seconds could be taken out of context. That was not my anticipation.
No, but it's still what you believed. It's what you believe now. So what's the difference?
It's not about, you're asking me, you're saying that young people who are impressionable.
If you said to me, look, Piers, honestly, I've had time to think about this and I wish I hadn't said it. I don't believe that. That's one thing. Actually, you've said the opposite. You said, actually, that's what I think, yeah.
I think that when
it doesn't really matter whether you recorded it when you're famous or not famous. It's what you actually believe, right?
I believe that a man has a duty to protect and provide for a woman. I believe that a woman's father gives her away to the man. That's what I believe, and that's in my marriage. That's the circumstance.
Makes sense.
If people want to live in a different scenario, that's completely theirs. Their prerogative.
You went on to say about authority over women. If I have a responsibility over her, I must have a degree of authority. Yeah. For the same reason, if I have responsibility over and people are going to use their mind, it's an example, an analogy. Responsibility over a child, I have to have some authority. Yeah. So you believe as part of your ownership or your property of the woman, you have authority over her.
No, I believe if you have
that's what you said.
I believe if you have responsibility over something, you have to have a degree of authority or you can't be responsible.
Yeah, but absolutely. Authority means, again, that you're the boss.
The point I'm making, if you'll please let me finish at this point, the point I was trying to make was talking about the safety of a woman. She was walking alone at night, and I was saying, well, I wouldn't let my woman walk alone at night. And they said, well, you're not in charge of her. You don't get to decide what she does. I said, I understand, but if I'm responsible for her safety, and I'm the person who's burdened with making sure she is safe, I have to have the authority to say, don't put yourself in unsafe situations. The two things are linked.
Well, you don't have authority. You have you can absolutely have the right to say to the woman you're with, I don't think you should. But ultimately,
if she decides, then I can't force her.
Right. So authority implies that you have the ability to control someone.
No, authority believes the authority implies that I have the moral right to sit and say that that's an irresponsible thing to do, and I'm responsible.
Absolutely, I do agree with that. Yeah, like in a moral sense, he's not meaning that in a literal sense, like, oh, like, it's my say or the highway, you know, whatever, like, you can't go, like, no, I will force you. He's not saying that. But once again, the idiot Pierce and all the other idiots in the world that's what they're thinking he's saying or implying or whatever, and he's not. He's just implying that in a moral sense. Yes, I would definitely agree. If you're in a relationship with someone, okay, like me, like if I'm in a relationship with my girl, right? Okay, yes, it is morally my authority to make sure in any possible way or means to make sure she is protected along with my child. You know what I mean? That's just fucking common sense. You know what I mean? Like if it's fucking nighttime and like the purge is fucking going on or something, you know what I mean? You best believe morally I have the authority to fucking be like, hey, you know what I mean? Like that's not really a good idea, blah, blah, to look out and protect her, etc., etc. That is technically my burden in a way. It is. And same would go for her. You know what I mean? That's just common sense to fucking morally respect. It's common fucking courtesy. You know what I mean? If you're over here going to put yourself in danger and go out while a purge is going on, or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? And just be like, oh, you know, whatever, cry me a river, you know, it is what it is. And then expect someone to now have to go through the fucking stress, anxiety, and potential even grief if something does happen, you know, or now guilt if something does happen, like, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, that's bullshit, you know? So it's like, once again, understand what he's saying. He literally just explained it. Pierce does not understand what he's saying otherwise, and then claiming that he still thinks otherwise. Like, Pierce is a fucking dingaling, bro. I'll never understand how people with that level of intelligence and comprehension skills can be that either famous or big or whatever. I don't get it to this day. I don't.
That's not what authority means.
Well, I'm not going to, if you think I'm going to lock somebody up in their room, is that what you're implying?
No, I don't think you know what authority means.
I know what it means. I'm saying that if I
just a different description of what authority
means. Yeah, so authority, the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. Okay? Person or organization having power or control in a particular, typical political or administrative sphere. You know, the health authorities, whatever, etc., or the police authorities, etc., etc. Right? That's really what the definition. What Mr. Tate is implying, basically, with the sense of authority and a moral compass, is that he morally does have that authority, that right, in a sense, to be like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's a good idea, blah, blah, etc., etc. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. Nowhere is he saying to where he's being hyper literal and being like, I have an authority over a woman and she can't do anything fucking about it, and that's it. It's my way, suck it up, bitch. He's not fucking saying that. He's not saying that. You know what I mean? Like, and this dumbass continues to reinforce that notion, that tooth fairy bullshit, okay, and then hear shit over and over and over. She'll be like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying, then, all right, you know, it is what it is, my fault then. I get what you're saying, you know? And that's it, done deal, right? But instead he wants to keep on, poke the bear, be fucking stupid, be in denial, be disingenuous, be fucking ignorant, etc., be a fucking sensitive Care Bear Sally. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, I would never have any patience for anyone that's like that. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I can engage in a conversation with you, whatever, blah, blah, whatever, but if this is how you're going to act or just be, and your mind is just so fucking stuck up your ass, and you're just that stubborn, like, it's a lost cause. You're at an impasse. Like, many intelligent fucking figures in the world, like, are the same fucking way. Like, if you're talking with someone and that's just how their mentality is, you're at a fucking impasse. You're not going to get anywhere. It's a lost cause. Don't engage with it. Leave it alone. Bye. Remove them. Be gone. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't get anywhere, dude. It really doesn't.
If I have responsibility.
Okay, Pierce, do you want a bitch who doesn't listen to you? Is that what you want? Like, he said the same thing like 5 times. If he's in charge of
imagine being in a relationship with somebody and they just like don't listen, they don't give a thought to anything you may say or think. They don't give a fuck, and they just do whatever the fuck they want. Would you really be happy? Would you really have a A+ relationship at that point? Hell no. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of a fucking relationship, to understand each other's ideas, to embrace each other's behaviors and tendencies, to, you know, figure out what really works and what doesn't, or to be open-minded to, you know, to learn and grow, or, you know, etc., etc. Like, there's pros and cons with it all. You know what I mean? Like, that's so dumb. You know what I mean? That's what Pierce is basically advocating for. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you should just always be in disagreement, or just do whatever you want, and who cares, right? And who cares about the other person, and this and that, and fuck them. You know, like, that's so fucked. He's literally advocating for somebody to basically be selfish in a sense, okay, and only care about themselves, and just like, and not care about anybody else's feelings or actions or anything, whatever, blah, blah, and just do whatever they want, and just only their happiness and only their selfishness matters. The fuck? You know? It's stupid. You know, like, and the only other part that he was saying, which I'll give this to Pierce, and obviously we can all agree with this, is nobody should be a property, I mean, like, in a literal sense, and nobody should be a slave, and nobody should be, like, should have, like, authority over them to where they can't do anything. Obviously. What the fuck? You know? Like, so it's just, he's just stupid.
Sure. She doesn't get killed, and, you know, she's protected, then, yeah, she should listen. I'm not offended. These people... Why is a grown-ass man soft?
On God, soft.
Authority to tell them not to do
fucking soft. Care Bears, bro.
Some form of control over.
Sorry, I'm trying to work on being more feminine. Hold on. Haha, soft.
This woman.
Damn.
I think you're trying to... What you're trying to do...
I'm only trying to get to what you think. Honestly, I am. I come with no agenda here at all.
I understand. And I'm explaining very, very clearly. If I have responsibility over said subject, I have to have authority over it. So let me say you have children, right?
Right.
You have responsibility for them.
No, I have legal authority over my children. That is very different to having legal authority over my wife or my female partner.
Completely, but the point I'm trying to make...
So you accept that?
I accept that you...
Because you used the analogy of responsibility for a child.
My friend, these are very...
These are actually really important things.
They're important things, but you interrupt me every 5 seconds, so it's hard for me to actually explain my point. The point I'm making here is very simple. You have children, and you're responsible for their safety. So you're going to have authority to say, don't go out at night, perhaps because you want them to be safe.
I have legal authority.
You have a legal authority.
Yeah.
Legal authority. I'm saying that if I had a woman, and the question where you've raised this soundbite from, I was asked about protecting a woman, making sure she's safe. And I would say I wouldn't want her to go out at night on her own because I'm responsible for her safety. And someone said, well...
Does that sound like a bitch you'd want to date, Blessing? Like so...
Hell no.
I want to walk home alone at night.
Like, hell no, bro. Like, if I ever heard... if I'm in a relationship, okay... Like, it's one thing, like, for my girl to be like, hey, I just want to go take a walk at night. You know what I mean? Just kind of... I just need some peace of mind or some whatever. 100% fine, whatever you do you. You know what I mean? But once again, it's like... If they're over here, like, wanting to, like... Hey, I want to go... fucking, I don't know, drink and drive, or I want to go out at night while we have extreme high crime rates going on, or a purge, or some crazy shit, or I want to go and fucking walk on a one-way street because I just want to listen to music. Like, yeah, you have that right to do that, go ahead, but that is dangerous and possibility something could happen, you know what I mean? So guess what? Just as equal as the other person would also have a right in a sense to be like, hey, I don't really think that's a good idea, and kind of advocate for their safety and kind of be responsible in a sense, right? Because once again, when it comes to human decency and the whole moral compass of things, okay, if God forbid something was to happen, or something does escalate, or whatever the case may be, now you got to deal with guilt, with grief, with fucking stress, anxiety, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like, yeah, like it's basically a yes and no type of scenario. That's what I'm basically saying. Obviously, anybody has the right to fucking go out at night. Anybody. You know what I mean? Whatever. Okay, but unfortunately, we live in a crazy world, a very dangerous world. Anything can go. You have human trafficking, you have serial killers, you have all kinds of shit. You have fucking racists out there. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in the world, bro. Like, we don't live in fucking rainbows and sunshine, you know? So, if I'm in a relationship, regardless if it's a guy or a woman, I don't care. Regardless, okay, if you're out there, you know, and you're wanting to, like, constantly put yourself in a potential danger, that's a little weird. That's a little sus. And yeah, I don't think anybody would want to fucking really deal with that amount of stress, you know, or potential issue. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? That's stupid, you know? So, no, that's just dumb. I don't agree with that. And any normal, sensible person would say the fucking same. You know? Like, that's just stupid. Sure, here and there, whatever. Sure, like, once in a blue moon, whatever. I get it. Shit happens. But, like, 24/7? You know? Or even if it was a rare moment, or did this out of nowhere, whatever, it's still understandable for either a woman or a guy to be like, hey, that's a little... kind of, you know, like, do you want me to maybe to go with you, or you know, or that could be a little dangerous, it is nighttime, blah blah, this and that, like, I don't think that's a good idea, but hey, if you want to go do it, by all means. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that for them to advocate that, and for him to advocate that notion that in his duty in a sense, especially if he's married, whatever, blah blah, okay, that is kind of your responsibility to ensure their safety in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, in a sense, you're with the person, right? You care and love them, right? That's something that's just common fucking sense, like, that any natural person would feel, right? So that's just dumb. Like, it's just fucking dumb. It's literally in TV shows, movies, real life, you name it. Like, it's nothing new here, you know?
Yeah, don't do that. Well, I'm doing it anyway, and you're not responsible for me. Like, you're breaking up with her? Like, he's not red pill, he's just African. Try it.
Bro, I just literally watched a little midget cartoon character touch a big boob orc. What are these ads on YouTube, bro? But yeah, hey, that shit don't get flagged. But God forbid somebody was to put that in their video or something, they're immediately getting flagged as a content creator. You know?
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
You don't have authority over to do that. And I said, well, no, I can't force her to stay inside. But if she were to ask me, how do I protect myself at night? I would say, well, you should stay inside. That's how you should do it.
I don't have an issue with what
so
you
we
just
agree.
Said. No.
It's the semantics.
No, it's not semantics. And this is where I don't think you quite get why there's a few...
No, you don't fucking quite get. You're the fucking dingling here, Pierce.
With respect.
And on God, I would say that in the interview. Like, the moment somebody said something like that stupid to me, I'd be like, no, you don't understand. You're the one being a dingling with respect, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here. You're not going to disrespect me on your fucking interview, bro. Because you can't comprehend or understand what the fuck I'm saying. You know? 6th
point would be, we're saying the same
like, we clearly just agreed on something. We both agreed. He just explained what he actually means, etc. And you still want to fucking fight about it. What?
But we're not. I'm saying to you that when you say I have to have some authority over a woman, I say to you, you have no right to any authority over a woman. You do over a child if it's your child, because you are the legal appointed guardian of that child.
Understood.
You're not a legally appointed guardian or authority over your wife or female partner.
Legally appointed, absolutely not. I agree. However, when it comes to things like personal responsibility or personal safety, men
And
largely by
morals,
society,
morality.
we're the protectors and providers. We can sit here and pretend that in the world we live in, if me and my wife were walking down the street and men were to come up and try and attack us, I wouldn't be the one fighting. But we both know in reality I would.
Right.
I have a degree of responsibility to protect her. So if I have a degree of responsibility to protect her physically,
It's a good point.
I'm trying to make
it's like with Pierce's mentality. It's like, oh, okay, so if like me and my wife or vice versa, whatever, we start getting jumped by a group of people, what? Because I technically have the right to just run away and just let her get fucking beat up, or what, vice versa, whatever. That therefore I should do it because, you know, I have no authority or whatever, all this bullshit. It's like, with that being the case, that's basically what you're advocating as well. It's like, no, obviously you wouldn't do that because God forbid somebody found out about that story or whatever, you know, or is reviewed, etc. Everybody would be grilling you. You know what I mean? Like, everybody would be like, how dare you not protect your wife or husband, or how dare you, you know, all this crazy shit, like you're, you know, and you name it. Like, so it's like, what the fuck? With that mentality, you would still be criminal number one, you know, which is why, once again, he said morally, and as any other fucking person would, which is correct, yeah, you would also try to fight back, protect, etc. You're not just going to fucking run away because you have that legal, you know, obligation to do so, or you could easily do that, and once again, no authority or all this bullshit. It's like, Pierce is so fucking dumb, dude. He is, I'm sorry. Like, hopefully he's grown as a person and he's better, but this is pathetic. This is clearly just a pathetic fucking scheme that he's trying to do.
I will do my best to make sure she's never putting herself in unsafe situations.
Do you wish you hadn't used the word authority?
The authority is something that she would give to me. She would come to me and say, so how can I make sure I'm as safe as possible?
But I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to point out that's not what authority means.
If someone gives, a person can give
voluntary authority is not authority.
No, but that's the point. If
it's
a
not.
woman, Piers,
Andrew, it's not.
Piers, if a woman comes to me and says, I want you to keep me safe, she is handing me authority for her safety.
Literally.
Do you understand the difference between having authority over somebody and somebody giving you permission to have authority?
Completely. I never said
one is consensual and one isn't.
But why are we pretending I do unconsensual things?
Because you literally say, I must have a degree of authority. I have to have some authority. And
oh my God, he's explaining the context, you name it, etc. You're such a fucking dummy. You literally just outed yourself. He literally just fucking outed himself, bro, and made himself look so fucking dumb right there. Jesus Christ.
He's saying, for a man that's in this high up of a position, how do you not understand what he's saying? Like, it's just so clear. Like, he's saying that, like, if she's in the position of being his woman, she has given him the authority. Not he shackled her and made her stay home and not walk her home alone at dark alleys at night. He just said, like, yeah, if this is my girl, she's giving me some authority. Pierce, this is why you keep going viral for the wrong reason.
On God,
and I know this is edited too. I really want to see the full uncut thing. Release all of it. Release all of it.
Responsible for her safety. If I'm not responsible for her safety, I don't have authority.
If your position now is that with her permission, I would like to have authority when we go out at night to protect her.
Oh my God. I would like to have authority over you. Like, Sam.
That's a different
that was
thing.
always my position.
But that's not what you said.
But that was
literally his position the whole fucking time. The context supports it, etc., etc. He doesn't have to say that literally. Like, that's the fucking problem. And this is why the world is a fucking joke. I'm going to be real with you right now. And I'm going to say this right now as well. This is why the world is a fucking joke, okay? So you're telling me, even though the context supports it, I'm clearly advocating for the right sense of what I mean when it comes to authority, etc., you name it, blah, blah. Okay? That eventually when I get to the conclusion, I have to say verbatim that if they give me that permission of authority, whatever, blah, blah, then this, and etc., etc. Because I'm saying, like, I have that authority over or whatever, or this and whatever, or I'm wording it a certain way, etc., because it's literally backed up by the context of what it actually supports what I mean by that last sentence. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me how I need to word my sentences, even though the context and all the other, you know, shit involved clearly shows what I'm meaning and implying when I say my last sentence. All because you focus on the last sentence and want to interpret and think what you want to think with that last sentence, okay, is not my fucking problem. And I don't give a fuck. Boo fucking who, cry me river, basically, okay? That's the most ignorant, most ratty fucking bullshit tactic that I can't stand that happens 24/7 in this fucking world. It's blatantly obvious of what he's saying. It's clear as day. He's repeated himself multiple times. All the context is even there as well. And this dumbass motherfucker, his last line of defense, well, you should have just worded it like this towards the end. Why would I have to do that if I've already explained and given all the context? Are you fucking dumb? Why do I gotta work extra harder to make sure your feelings aren't hurt? You know, like holy shit, bro. Like, oh my God.
So again, I simply say to you,
It is what I said, though.
Do you wish you'd phrased it a different way?
No, because we're talking about long format copy where I'm talking about a woman who has come to me and said, you're responsible.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. No, go fuck yourself. Stop judging me. Stop being a butthurt, sensitive Sally. Okay, that's what I would literally say in an interview.
Boy reads, I must have some authority over a woman. What do you think he thinks?
Well, I understand that, and I said this earlier when you tried to say I was backtracking, which I'm not doing.
No, actually, I'm not. I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to gotcha you.
Cool.
I'm trying to work out exactly what you actually
I understand
think.
with massive fame comes massive responsibility. I understand that a percentage of the population are always going to take everything that's said by anybody out of context.
Would you change the wording of what you said?
No, I would just encourage people to watch my long format copy and understand it
Would
fully.
you tell an 18-year-old boy you don't have authority over women?
Absolutely.
You would say that?
Unless a woman comes to him and says, you're responsible for my safety, please make sure keep me safe. Like
I
my
see.
woman
Now
says,
that
comes to
Andrew
me.
Tate, I can sign up to.
Well, then we agree.
Yeah, but I don't agree with what you.
Is $6.80 with my code, right? Per meal if they get a 21 meal box. So
You said before.
Because you're taking a soundbite from a 2-hour
Yeah, but
conversation.
you haven't been taken out of context because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
Bro, literally, bro. You want to know what Tate should immediately do? Instead of going back and forth with this bullshit, he should be like, all right, how about this, Pierce? How about this? Because we're clearly not getting anywhere. And we're at an impasse. Like we're clearly agreeing whatever. And you're even admitting that you are now. This is like who I would advocate or really accept. This is Andrew Tate. So how about this? Because maybe this would allow you to understand what I'm saying. If somebody recorded clips, okay, or whatever, shorts or whatever, of certain moments of the things that come out of your fucking mouth, and you clearly don't advocate for whatever negative picture they're trying to paint or whatever, blah blah, okay, etc., etc., are you gonna sit here and say you're wrong for that? Are you gonna sit here and be like, now you're a misogynist or this or this or this and that? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like, are you really gonna deal with that bullshit too? Because that's what you're doing with me right now. You know what I mean? Like, you're basically advocating for anybody, content creator, whatever, whoever you are, okay, that if somebody can clip short clips or whatever, or this and that, and then paint a bullshit ass picture, that's okay, and the person speaking has to now take accountability. What the what world are we living in right now, bro? Like, I know damn well if he asked him that question, he would say no and not agree. And, you know what I mean? Like, and if he was to still say yes or whatever, then he's just a fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Text around the sentence, my friend.
You can't ignore a sentence that says, I must have a degree of authority.
But you can when there's a 2-hour conversation where a woman is telling me if she makes me responsible for her safety, and you're explaining, well, if I'm responsible for your safety, I have the authority to make decisions.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. This man is spitting. Everybody understands this, even this girl that's reacting. Which that's another reason why I even had this girl. I don't know really anything about her. I just saw that she's clearly a big YouTuber as well, does her thing, and she also is reacting in some sense, has a positive relationship when it comes to Tate as well. That's another reason why I have her in here, just to show that even millions of women also agree with the things he says. Millions of guys also agree, and it's all the retards out there that like to be whatever, blah, blah. And one thing I will say as well, okay, because I know damn well that there's probably something out there that Andrew Tate has done or said or whatever that is really bad, and there's just no defense, period. That wouldn't fucking surprise me at all. But so far, what I'm hearing and listening right now, it's no. He has not done anything fucking wrong. And it's just clearly people being fucking cancel culture little bitches and sensitive Sallies, basically. You know what I mean? And if this is what I'm already getting from this so far, then I can only imagine with everything else that's out there, okay, that, it's the same basically scenario, and everybody's just bullshitting and painting nonsense pictures, you know what I mean, and trying to manipulate reality itself. It's just it's a joke, It's really a fucking joke.
So yes, you've ignored all the context.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking you?
Of course I do, but I can't sit here and
for
say.
the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm asking, you said this. In general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right effing now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less.
I'm 25.
Dick. People say, "Oh, you can't say that."
Oh wow, so she's my age. That's interesting. She looks, no offense, but she looks older.
19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
Because you are encouraging a mindset about 25-year-old women that makes them sound out to be infinitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds, and having effectively been having too much sex to be taken in a more respectful way.
That would, well, firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying that an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old woman.
Anti-25-year-old women we can argue, but not misogyny.
Well, that's misogyny.
No, it's not.
Well, being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying the age.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, then ageist perhaps, but misogynistic absolutely
Is that
not.
But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was.
Okay, would it be misogyny if he said that 25-year-olds are more attractive than 45-year-olds?
No, that's not misogynist.
Since I was a kid, most people that I know peak at like 18, 19.
Yeah.
I swear to God. I swear to God. Like
that's not being a misogynist. Like, what the fuck? Like, now, if he's saying that like 25-year-olds or 26-year-old women or whatever are just trash or blah blah or whatever yada yada, like, or they don't ever go out with them and all this other bullshit, that would technically be like a misogyny, because once again that's being anti-woman or discriminating or hating woman. Okay, what's it called? But if he's over here like comparing, contrasting age groups of women, okay, and saying and analyzing the pros and cons between those age groups, okay, and of why the majority of people would accept this age group compared to this one, that's not being a misogynist. That's just going over objective information, basically, or subjective information. The fuck? All because you have a personal preference and say, oh, I'd rather go out with a 25-year-old than a 40-year-old because a 25-year-old would look better than a 40-year-old. What is so misogynist about that? The fuck? That's stupid. It can be misogyny, I will admit that, depending on what you're saying and what you're doing. But if you're doing it in like an educational value or a preference of subjective value, or even throwing in some objective evidence in there as well to like further establish your claims and et cetera in your arguments, then no, that would not be misogyny. Once again, if I sit here and say I prefer fucking women in their 20s since I'm a 25-year-old, okay, compared to a 40 or 50-year-old, does that really make me a misogynist now? Like, what the fuck? Like, how does that work, bro? Like, we're just making up shit now. You know what I mean? Like, the fuck? Or better yet, if here's another example. If I say I prefer women than men, does that make me a homophobic now? No, it just means I'm not gay and I'm straight and I prefer women. That is my sexual orientation. Like, this is so fucking stupid, bro. Like, oh my god, this has been a joke.
And then he's gonna say, okay, when I was 18, I was a virgin. I'm not a virgin now. I was probably more desirable then. Like, I don't think that's crazy. Like, these people are soft. You know what? This a generation of soft people. Look at, I'm 25. Oh, look at, I would love it. But I'm just saying, like, half of y'all have gotten fat by the time you're 25. Let's just be honest, or at least chunky.
She's not wrong.
Thick.
Hey, she's not wrong. Like, if you're not working out, staying active, you name it, because around that time, 9 out of 10 times, to most people, you're settled down, you got kids or whatever, you name it, or you name it, and like, bro, like, yeah, you get a little more chunkier, you get a belly, like, she's not wrong with that.
So, just by that alone, you're probably better looking at 18.
Yeah.
Most people look better younger.
Yeah.
Especially women. I don't know what to tell you.
To a woman's face if she's 25?
It's not slightly hateful. When
so you would go up to
20. Hey, you could have said that to my face, Andrew, if you came on my show. You could have.
over a woman and tell her exactly what I've just read out?
Why would I walk up to a random 25-year-old
Because you said it
woman
in public
and
on
say
the
that?
internet, and it's been listened to and watched by millions and millions of young,
Correct.
impressionable boys.
Correct. There was a large panel. There was a conversation. There was hours long of conversation. There were feminists attacking men for toxic masculinity and attacking me and saying things. And I said things back which were going to antagonize
But I think,
them. Which you've done yourself a bunch of times.
I think a lot of allegations of toxic masculinity are not toxic.
Correct.
I do think that kind of sentence that I just read out, that paragraph, is actually toxic. If you genuinely mean that, and you say you wouldn't say it to a woman's face, but you said it in public about women of that age, I do think that's misogynist. And I think you probably do too.
I don't think it's misogynistic. I understand why it can be insulting.
You wouldn't say it to a woman's face?
Well, it depends. You're making out like I'm walking around the street going up to random 25-year-olds.
Well, effectively, you're doing it to tens of millions of people online. There's no difference.
Not at all. We're discussing a topic. We were discussing the ideal age of a man.
Should young boys, right, in their teens, are you comfortable that they would have that mindset? Be honest.
I think that young boys...
Calling all hippies and cowboys the baddest independent...
Boys in their teens lack life experience. They lack nuance. And they need to be very, very careful what they're digesting online, whether it's my content or anybody else's.
Yeah,
I think
you know for a fact millions of them are digesting exactly what you're saying.
Completely. The entire internet, to a degree, I think any subject you can find, there's going to be a whole heap of
I
content.
come back to the Joe Rogan thing, Andrew. Is that a lot of what you say, I agree with.
Yeah.
Right? I do, genuinely. I've read a lot. I've written a lot of stuff you said. A lot of the stuff you talk about, I think, yeah, it's got a good point, right? So we agree about a lot of things. But when I read that kind of thing, I'm like, how much of that is you? How much of that is some act? Do you regret saying stuff like this?
I don't.
And actually, do you see it as weakness to admit you shouldn't have said something like that?
No, I don't live with regret. I think what's happened is that, like I said, long format content, arguments with feminists, arguments with the toxic masculine crowd, arguments with the left, and they're going to take a small clip, small sentence from ours, and they're going to try and paint me as a
But
villain.
I'm not left or right.
I don't know what you are, Piers.
Exactly. That's my point. No, but that's my point.
And I understand, and you're doing exactly as I knew would happen on this interview, which is because you're a busy man. You're not going to watch hours and hours and hours of video.
Actually, I have watched hours and hours of video, and I'm going to come to the stuff where I agree with you, and I'm going to come to the stuff about your censorship, which
Sure.
I have issues with. So this is, it's a long interview, right?
Sure.
I just thought off the top, you said to me, and you were quite bold about it, well, go on, then let's go through these.
And you should keep going. I will sit here and stand by what I said. I believe that
on
man...
that, I just read to you then.
Yeah.
Do you wish you hadn't said that?
I understand how it's been misconstrued. I understand how it's been weaponized against me. Do I regret it because it's been weaponized and used against me? Well, that's slightly annoying.
That's not why I want you to
Did I
regret.
at the time mean what I said in the context of the conversation, which obviously you're not familiar with and the people at home are not familiar with? No, I meant what I said.
The 25-year-old women, they've just talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments,
Yes!
more for me to clean up.
Well, there's a whole bunch of context and conversation around that's been missed, and I
I don't
encourage.
think I'm missing much context.
Well, I encourage people who are interested
So,
to go.
like, I'll say one thing on that. Okay, like, statistically wise, objectively wise, yes, that is the case. That's for any guy and any woman too. It's not just fucking woman either. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes. Now, not all women or guys. That would also be the case either. There could be women or guys that are 25 or 26 years old or 30 years old and they still haven't had any sexual fucking, activity or anything. You know what I mean? So, but once again, that's like the least percentage of it. You know what I mean? So when it comes to majority percentage, that would be the case. Therefore, for any woman or guy to sit here and be like, oh, therefore, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I would more than likely prefer somebody younger, you know what I mean, or whatever, like around my age group, or somebody that's typically, 18 or 19. They're not going to really have all this stuff. It's kind of like a clean slate, basically. They're going to look more attractive, et cetera, et cetera. It makes sense. That's basically all he's implying with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no negative thing. There's no nothing, whatever, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what to tell you, So, like, I understand what he's logically saying. Like, it's not hard, it's not rocket science. Like, any normal person would. You know what I mean? Yes, I can understand the simple fact of, like, how it can be seen as kind of, as, like, in a negative way or whatever, or especially if somebody just clips that one moment, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, what the fuck, and you name it. I understand that, and he literally said the same thing, or better yet, to understand that some people can feel offended or insulted by that. But guess what? All because I say a 25-year-old can be more attractive than a 40-year-old, okay? Like, and you're going to get insulted or offended by it. Okay, boo-hoo, bro. It's the same shit for a guy. You know You know what I mean? Like, a guy would more than likely look more attractive as a 25-year-old than a fucking 40 or 50-year-old guy. You know, like, who cares? Like, if you're getting that butthurt and sensitive about that, like, bro, like, you know, like, it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. And obviously, nobody is going to be going around saying that and whatnot, and you name it. Because, you know, for people that are you know, can be offended easily or sensitive or whatever, it's just avoid the problem entirely. You know, don't do that, you know, and I'm pretty sure nobody would do that either, you know. But if you're over here on a podcast talking and doing what you normally do, which is your job to fucking talk about shit, whatever, etc., engage with your audience, etc., okay, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have the percentage of all the sensitive Sallys, and you're going to have the percentage of people that can be logically, objectively observe and understand what's going on and not be butthurt by shit that is just reality itself. Who the fuck cares, bro? You know, this is that simple.
I mean, I've just read out 3 sentences on the bounce there.
Oh, boo frickin' who, Pierce? Boo frickin' who? I'm a 25-year-old woman. Oh, Andrew Tate. I'm too old for Andrew Tate. But who cares? Who gives, like, what? Date your age? Soft.
If there's any context I'm missing. I mean, you made it pretty clear what you think about the difference between 18 and 90-year-old women.
I wasn't talking about
26-year-olds.
myself, even. I was talking with a Muslim guy who was on the panel, and he was explaining how youth is very valued in most parts of the world, and why virginity is valued in most parts of the world. The feminists were arguing against it, and I was sitting there, actually very much like you, a mediator between the two, explaining why in most of the world still today, perhaps not in the Western world, virginity is coveted, youth is coveted in most of the world, and throughout all of human history. And I was sitting there making the point, explaining why in certain parts of the world they think how they do,
well,
even though it's very different to the Western world. So I was making a point, mediating between two groups very similar to yourself. The conversation has been misunderstood. They've taken this clip of it, and it's been weaponized and used against me. I understand that is because I am now the most famous Google person on the planet. It's inconvenient, sure, but I'm definitely not a danger to women in any regard. I date women 25, 26, 27 years old all the time. None of them are offended by the things
I don't
say.
think you're a danger to women.
Of
I
course
think
not.
I think the danger, if it concerns you.
Oh, he goes up to 27. Wow. so there's a chance. I'm just like, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. Soft.
The danger.
I'm a 27-year-old transgender woman. I am a wolf Therian and a member of the furry fandom.
When and how did you discover this
Danger is the influence you have on young men to have this kind of mindset about women. And that's really where I'm trying to get to what you really believe and how much you've just shot off because you think it's like entertaining and you haven't really given it much thought. And whether now you're a bit older and you've had all the fallout, whether part of you is thinking, actually, if I had, as Joe Rogan says, if you hadn't said stuff like this, you'd probably still be on all these platforms. You'd be massively more popular, massively more famous, massively richer. So I'm really just trying to get to, on the blatantly misogynist stuff, do you just wish you hadn't said it?
With great power comes great
respect. Okay, just because you say it's misogynistic doesn't make it misogynistic. If he switched that and said 25-year-olds are more desirable than 80-year-olds because they haven't been through as much, would that be misogynistic?
It was certainly said before the great power came. It's inconvenient to a degree. However, like I said at the time, with the context of the conversation, I know that I'm not saying things which I believe to be detrimental to the world. However, they've been misconstrued, they've been misunderstood.
If a 25-year-old woman was watching this, would you say, I'm sorry for saying that?
Well, I wouldn't want anyone to be offended by anything I say. But I say things. I say things that offend. And this is the thing that's interesting, Pierce. Please let me finish.
Yeah, but you're behaving like a politician. Yeah, but hang on. You can say I'm interrupting.
You do.
But you're answering a different question to the one I asked you. So
no, Ken, you haven't mismanaged. We'll be doing that.
Sure. Okay, let's. Sure.
Okay, you accept that. Let's accept we both got on. Okay.
So, we're reacting to some stuff first, real quick.
A woman is watching this and has heard those comments. Yeah. Would you just say to
so
her,
far, Mr. Tate is innocent.
I will say that.
Just objectively and logically, he's
innocent. A large contingent of the world.
Now, I'm not, like, I won't excuse anything else. Like, for all I know, there could be something else I just don't even know about entirely, and it's actually 100% legit, and he's a shit person. But so far, everything I'm listening, like, I'm analyzing an interview with him and Pierce Morgan, and it's this other woman that's also analyzing, and even she is also agreeing, like he's not being a misogynist, he's not being whatever, like they're just being fucking dinglings, basically.
King, stand on it. And you know what's funny? When I first saw Andrew Tate, I wasn't even the biggest fan, not because of any of this, but like I saw some video of him cheating on his girlfriends in front of each other, and I just thought that was rude. They were like crying, and he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of funny." And I was like, Like that man is. It's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh. Like that's a bit much. But now, the more I hear him talk, the more I'm like, man, I still wouldn't do the cheating party. I feel like even if you got 2 girlfriends, that's a bit rude, right? You'd agree, right? Yeah. But you know, you respect it. Stand on your words, King.
No, I'm not sorry. That's the point I'm making. I'm sorry if that offends you. However, there's a large contingent of the world that believe that, and I was mediating for a conversation.
Parts of the world that believe that about 26-year-old women are parts of the world where women are not allowed out on their own.
That's a conversation.
They have to wear full burqas.
Well, that's a conversation.
They're not allowed to drive cars.
Honestly, I hate driving anyway. We can send that back. I much prefer to be in the passenger seat.
To do it.
But is that the kind of world for women that you?
I was mediating a conversation.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I don't live in a country where that happens.
You're using that as the excuse for why you're not sorry for saying it.
It's not an excuse.
Is that there are parts of the world where this is fine?
My friend.
So my question to you is, well, do you think it's fine?
I don't think it's fine. I live in a world where
you don't think it's fine.
The reason
this isn't that hard, Andrew. You can simply say, Piers, you know what? With the benefit of hindsight, I wish I hadn't said it like that. And if a 26-year-old woman's watching, I'm sorry I said that, because that actually is blatantly misogynist. And even though that's a view held by other parts of the world, it's not a view I share. Now, I would respect you more if you said that than if you try and say, well, it's said in other parts of the world, so I'm not sorry.
I think
that doesn't tell me what you think.
Then you need to understand why my content existed in the first place. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable.
Is that a truth? Then?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about. It's not a truth I created.
Hang on. You're doing it again. What do you mean that's a truth in other parts of the world? That's what you said. It's not. You're not talking about another part of the world. You're talking about what you believe is the difference between 18 and 90-year-olds and 26-year-olds.
I was talking about...
It's your belief.
I was talking about what the people on the panel believe the difference is.
So what do you think the difference is?
I think the difference is age.
What's the difference then?
Well, then a 26-year-old's older than a 19-year-old.
And so you stand by what you said about talking to the guys, being to the club more times, being effed and dumped more times. Well, you believe that or not?
No, there's plenty of 26-year-old women who have been with one man or virgins,
right.
Of course.
So you don't believe that?
I don't think that the age is the only thing that's going to decipher how many men or women.
Right, so if you don't actually believe what you said, just say sorry.
It's not about not believing what I'm saying. It's about you understanding that there's large conversations going on.
I'm just reading back stuff you've said.
I know
and
I'm
asking you, do you believe it?
I believe that
Pierce is getting bullied right now. He's getting bullied.
You don't know that.
I don't know that. You're right.
In fact, there could be absolutely no evidence for that whatsoever.
Miscellaneous expenses.
Tax worries. With Tax Act, you file for less and get your
Completely agree.
So why say it? Why stigmatize all 26-year-old women?
Oh, God, Pierce. Okay, even if the girl's a virgin at 26, she's probably kissed more guys than when she was 19. It comes with age. I'm sorry. Oh my God, it's like I feel like this point isn't even controversial. Let's widen the age gap, 25 and 45. It's just he put the ages too close together so people can argue. But if you made it like a solid decade, like if you said a 25-year-old and a 35-year-old, I think 18 to 28 people would still argue. But if you did 18 to 35, like people would stop arguing.
It's not about, we're repeating ourselves here.
But not really. I'm just trying to get to what you actually believe.
I believe that men find youth attractive in general. I believe that in the context of the conversation.
25-year-old women aren't old.
I agree with you, they're not. Especially I'm old. I'm a lot older than that. The point I was making was part of mediating a panel, a conversation between feminists and some Muslim guys.
I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
good. So you understand why I said the sentence.
But as far as I know, you weren't espousing what a Muslim man might think. You were espousing what you think.
I was espousing what the people on the panel believed.
But you were saying what you think.
I feel like you're trying to pin me down.
If it's not what you believe, just say, I don't believe that.
What part wouldn't I believe?
Well, you tell me which part you don't believe. There's the sentence. Which part would you now say you don't believe?
I believe that 25-year-old women perhaps have had, because they've been alive longer, maybe have had more partners, but I don't believe that makes them a bad person.
Right. But you understand that the way you phrased it makes every 25-year-old woman feel a bad person.
No, I don't think...
Every 25... Stop speaking. Stop mansplaining. Yeah, Pierce.
Of course you do. You're not stupid, come on.
Pierce.
Andrew, you're not stupid. You know what that sounds like to any 25, 26-year-old woman.
Complete.
No! Stop, man. He's putting words in our mouths. No, Naisky, stop it.
And right? So you have maligned every.
What if I went on his show and I said, but you said every, and every time he tried to talk, I'd cut him off, and I'd be like, no, I'm just using the words that come out of your mouth, Pierce. You said every 25-year-old. Why would you say that when you don't speak for all 25-year-olds, huh? And then he'd be like, try to talk and be like, you're answering like a politician.
She's
Pierce.
not wrong.
You're answering like a politician. Yeah. How would you like it, Pierce?
26-year-old woman.
All right, so we're gonna stop this here. What's called we'll do a final part, like a part 2 for the next video. But you guys let me know your thoughts so far. I'm curious what you guys think. Obviously, this can be controversial and contentious for many reasons and ways. My opinion should be pretty straightforward. I mean, with everything that's been presented so far, like obviously it's crystal clear and not rocket science to understand what's going on here. But you guys let me know. Comment down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more content to the channel, especially if you guys even enjoy like IRL reactions or me reacting to anything, period, whether if it's, podcast people or interviews or real life shit or really controversial things or whatever it is, bro. If you're into that stuff too, there'll be plenty of more of this stuff along the way as well. Then give a sub, help a brother out. We're trying to get this channel going as quick as possible, and that's why I'm trying to spread my content in many different directions and not just stick mainly on either Naruto or gaming or whatever. But as always, guys, you guys let me know. I'm always curious, and we'll continue the next episode of this reaction on the next video. So, Batman out.